That we are delighted to see you all here this evening. We know there are others who wanted to be here but had a conflict. And so one of the things we do is record these programs and put the recordings on Westminster's YouTube channel under the Peace and Justice Work Group. And we find that quite a few people look at the recordings after the fact. So we have had these weekly meetings ever since July of 2020, virtually every Thursday night. And so we welcome you to come back at any point in time that there is a program that interests you. Next week, we will be having David Bever, who is the chairman, the executive director of the Delaware Center for Justice. And he is going to talk about that organization's goals and priorities and describe to us ways that we might get involved to advocating for making Delaware's criminal justice system equitable for all. But we are delighted this evening to have Maya here, and I'm now going to turn the program over to Mark for introductions. And I once again thank you for your presence and thank you for your program. Mark.
And thanks to everybody for bearing with our little technical difficulties. No stress on this end, let me assure you. But we welcome everybody to tonight's discussion, and we already mentioned that it's being recorded. It is our privilege to have Maya Abu Al-Hayyat with us this evening. She is currently in the U.S. as one of the many presenters at the Palestine Rights Festival being held in Philadelphia over the next several days. So if you want to tune into them, there will be more discussion that occurs regarding Palestine there. Maya is a Beirut-born Palestinian novelist, poet, and children's book writer, living in Jerusalem, but working in Ramallah. She has published 3 collections of poetry, 4 novels, and several children's books, including an English language translation of her award-winning picture book, The Blue Pool of Questions. She is the director of Palestine Writing Workshop, which is an institution that seeks to encourage reading in Palestinian communities through creative writing projects and storytelling with children. We warmly welcome Maya to our Peace and Justice weekly discussion, where we can engage with Maya about literature, creativity, and education under Israeli occupation as she discusses her recent collection of poetry entitled, You Can Be the Last Leaf. Maya, we thank you for being here with us in Wilmington this evening, and now we turn the evening over to you. So Maya,
Hello.
It's all yours.
Thank you very much. I have it here. Yeah, okay. Hi everybody. My name is Maya Abu Al-Hayyat. I usually prefer to do like question and answer and do some kind of dialogue, but I will try to present myself first to you. I will share very quick. I try to do some very quick presentation about myself. It will be a little bit hard for me. I was born in Beirut for a Palestinian father. He was a PLO fighter actually, and a Lebanese mother who was like a princess up there. And I was born during the Lebanese war. They were divorced when I was 1 year old. And I moved to live in Jordan with my aunts. My father went to Spain, my mother stayed in Lebanon. So I lived for 11 years in Jordan without seeing my father or my mother. When I counted my how many houses I have been lived in, it was 10 days, 10 house, and I think that's part of my voice, my work, why I have too many things that, like I am an actress, I am a writer, I'm a poet, I'm a novelist, I'm an engineer, I am a translator, I'm a storyteller, and I think what I learned from myself and my work during these years that it's part of moving from one country to another, having too many families, too many houses, too many places to live. And it affects my voice, it affects my work. And actually, it wasn't that bad. At the end, I managed to be so many different characters, which is يعني, sometimes good, sometimes not. I came back to Palestine when I was 50 years old during Oslo. Um, uh, it was a quite experience because we lived Palestinian the Palestine that was imaginary Palestine outside Palestine, and then I came back to the real Palestine, and it was totally different because the return was for my father, not for me. I have never been in Palestine. I was hearing stories about it. I know that my father belonging to go there to live his years there, but it was his dream. So we as children of my father, we were like moving. We were going to a place that wasn't we didn't know. But when I remember when I first put my bags and my stuff in my home in Nablus city, it was the first day that I felt like I will not go away. This is my home. It's like my stuff will be there. The things that I put on the wall, it will not go away. It's all there, and it will stay. And that makes my life change forever. I studied actually civil engineer, but after a while, I have been a writer since I was like 3 years old. I published my first novel when I was 22 years old, and but no, يعني engineering was part of being being a good girl, and I had good grades, so my father wanted me to be an engineer, and he was not with the idea that I'm a writer. He was against that totally. He was a military man, very tough man, so he didn't want his daughter to be a writer. And then I I become everything he didn't want me to become. So I become a writer very early. I divorced engineering for forever after like 10 years actually of working in engineering. Then I totally shift my work to work with children. I was trying to adjust all my life with other writers, where as a woman also in a scene that is full with like very rigid and well-spoken like men, and like everybody is like when you are a writer, yeah, it's like part of you. It's like you are a politician, and everything is politics. Everything has to be very well done and very rigid, and has the final يعني it has the final words يعني. But I didn't felt myself as that. Yeah, I always felt like I'm doubting myself all the time. I was questioning the what is important, why we write, what is important for the Palestinian. It's I felt that we always like trying to talk and open dialogue with others, and that prevent us from know ourselves well, and try to talk to Palestinian and to try to heal. That's why I when I started working with children, I thought that this is my goal. This is who I am. I am. I can work with children. I can make them laugh. I can make them discharge their traumas and try to be kids again. And that was a big relief, and I healed with them by storytelling and creative writing workshops. And also writing for children. Until now, I have 4 novels. This is my 4 novels called حبات السكر. Nobody knows. Actually, nobody knows his blood type will be published soon in this novel will be published soon in US next year. I also has actually 4 collection. This is 2, just 2, but I has a 4 collection of poetry. I translated the poetry and novel also for other authors. I have more than 40 children books that published all over the Arab countries. I'm also an actress, actually, and I do children programs, storytelling, plays. And people in Jerusalem knows me as Husniya, which is like very funny character. So um uh, so I think when you move between countries and families, you learn how to adjust. But it's so easy, actually, also to lose yourself in between. I was always trying to remember whom am I and what am I doing. The main thing that I kept telling myself that everything is happening to me because I'm a writer, and that actually helped me a lot when I was very young, to adjust and make me feel the importance of words and the voice of people. And I remember when I stopped seeing myself as a victim, that was a big things to me as a writer, because for me start my journey to see writing as a creative and healing and also changing factor, and it can help others, not just helping me. I'm also the director of Palestine Writing Workshops, which is an organization works with children and to enhance reading and creativity among the Palestinian children and adults. We do several programs. We have writing programs. We have reading programs. We produce children books and like creative thinking programs. This is our publications, which until now we published 21 book, different kind of resources and books, all related to children and creative writing, creative thinking. We do activities in schools, storytelling. We go to schools. We work with children all over Palestine. I also do discharge through creative writing for also and drama for women and elder people. We do also training and creative workshops by Zoom all over the Arab countries. This picture in Jerusalem, this is one of the book that also, our books actually, we try to not just focus on, احنا we see children books as an art and as a literature, and we emphasize on the thing that we don't put ourselves in a box that this is what's supposed to be as a Palestinian writer or a Palestinian children book. It's not supposed just to have like just to talk about Palestine or just to have. We really focus on creativity, on arts, because a lot of artists and writers, we have a lot of talent and we have a lot to tell. We have a lot of knowledge also to give to the world, and so sometimes you are people put you in a box that this is what expected from you and this is what you should produce, so that make a lot of creativity goes away. So we try to open our organization to be creative enough to produce what we think as a writers and artists that is good, and we are proud of this is in camp actually in Jordan, one of the Palestinian camps in Jordan. This is in Nablus. We also do a creative discharge with writing creativity with prisoners. Actually, these three kids, they are kids actually. They were in prisons. So yes, this is very quick things about what we doing. Actually, my book, which Nova, You Can Be the Last Leaf, was translated. It's selected poems from different books. It was translated by Fadi Jude and published here in US last year. And yes. If you have any question, you can also like just say it. so we have like a little bit conversation. Yeah, Mike, do you want to say anything or ask anything?
I'll come in with a question. You talked about your You Can Be the Last Leaf book. How did you arrive at that title, and what does that mean to you, and what should it mean for us?
Yeah. It was part actually of one of the poems here. It was a sentence. You can be the last leaf, but you have to understand how not to be harmed to the earth, and you can live, you can have, you can stand up and do your things and catch up with things, but you have to be careful not to hurt the others, to be careful to other, not just for you. So there's a line in the one of the poems about that.
And
Yeah.
Maya came from a podcast this morning where she was asked several questions and so forth. And in that podcast, it was interesting. The host had read one of her poems, and it was, I suffer a phobia called hope. And I was curious, it was striking to me, and I was curious about that. What is your hope for your family in Jerusalem, living in Jerusalem, and what is your hope for Palestine?
Yeah. I suffer from the hope, so I have phobia, not having too much phobia. I hope that we can just have normal life with normal conditions. Like we are trying to have normal lives all the time, but the conditions is abnormal. So we forget. And I live in Jerusalem. My work is in Ramallah. I cross checkpoints every day. My kids also having the same situation. So I forget I try in my daily life to forget that I'm under occupation, but at the same time I feel it in my movement, in my action, in my reaction. I think about the checkpoint 1 hour before and 1 hour after. I feel the tension all the time because in that point you lose yourself as a human. You become an animal because you want to survive. You don't want anybody to go first, even if they are like old people. You don't think about others as a human. You think about that you have to survive this situation because it's not normal. So when you have this situation every day, you lose yourself in it. But and you don't notice it unless you think about it from outside. And so I what I hope is no. I hope that we live like these daily things without having this trouble of small traumas all the time. And I know there's big pain and there's a lot of things that can change, yani. Uh, for people who lost their families or their kids or their life, it's never end. So hope is not something that you can relate to, it's I hope my kids will survive tomorrow. That's my hope, yani. It's like surviving day by day, because it's a miracle sometimes just to survive day by day.
Are there other questions for Maya?
Yeah, maybe
I,
we will read one poem.
sure.
Yeah, I will try my English. This poem called A Road for Loss. Like the rest of you, I thought of escape, but I have a fear of flying, a phobia of congested bridges and traffic accidents, of learning a new language. My plans for a simple getaway, a small departure, pack my children in a suitcase, and to a new place we go. Directions confuse me. There is no forest in this city, no desert either. Do you have a road for loss that doesn't end in a settlement? I thought of befriending animals, the adorable type, as substitute for my children's electronic toys. But I want a place for getting lost. My children will grow, their questions will multiply, and I don't tell lies, but teachers destroy my words. I don't hold grudges, but neighbors are always nosy. I don't rebuke, but enemies kill. My children grow older, and no one's thought yet of broadcast the final news hour, shut down religious channel, seal school roofs and walls, in torture. I don't dare to speak. Whatever I speak of happens. I don't want to speak. I would rather be lost.
Wow. I think I heard in there, where roads don't lead to a settlement.
Yeah.
Can you explain what you mean by the settlements?
Yeah, actually, you can't get lost in Palestine, because in Palestine, all like roads will get you to settlements. Settlements is a place, the whole like where in West Bank you have. They say that we have West Bank, but actually West Bank is divided to many areas where, like between village and village, you will have settlements for the Israeli. So, and this settlement is very dangerous for the Palestinian, because sometimes if you get lost, maybe you will take off your life. Or yani, some people work there and they go but yani, it's divided towns and cities. So it's all between the Palestinians. So they live between inside the Palestinian. And it's during Oslo and the whole process that this shouldn't be happened. Most of the settlements should be gone for now, but it's not the case. There's a lot of settlements. They are growing all the time, and they are very, very close to Palestinian villages. So it's very there's no escape. So they're supposed to be neighbors, but they are enemies. So it's very dangerous situation to be at that point. I was in Susia, a village which is very, very close. They took the land and built a settlement there, and so people live in conditions. There's no electricity and no water. They have no roads. I was lost before getting to the village. I didn't find any sign because they destroy any sign that has anything about the village, and they have park. They destroy it all the time. They and little kids, which is very funny. They was telling me stories about the little girl who is 12 years old, and the other girl from the settlement, she's also 12 years old, and they both like everybody tell the other like go home. So and they don't know the language of each other, so they just fight and they don't know what to do. And people afraid right now because they can be killed anytime. The settlements are they have guns, they have they are covered and protected by the Israeli army, and the Palestinian who they have nobody to protect. They are alone in that area. So sorry. So it's very dangerous, the settlement everywhere. And sometimes you just want to be lost, actually, and it's so dangerous to be lost. It's like I have a lot of poems about that, because I always feel like if you took a wrong road, everywhere else it will be normal for other people, but for us it's very dangerous to take the wrong road.
Mhm.
I think you mentioned earlier that you had done some work in the refugee areas
Yeah.
in the camps.
Yeah.
Tell us a little more about that, please.
Yeah. Palestine has a lot of camps, actually. There's
Right.
camps inside Palestine. There's also camps in Jordan and Lebanon and Syria and Libya. So it's all over the Arab country also. So we do a lot of work with centers with children and young adults there. And I was telling actually Mark that morning, he was telling me, what is your goal, and when you think that you achieve something. And I was telling him that when you go first time, like all the kids, or they expected you, the only thing that they expected you to want them to say, that it's all about tanks and dead bodies and the blood and shooting. So you go there, and all when you ask them to draw something, this is the only thing that they will draw, the only thing that will tell stories. But after you work with them a little bit, you discover that they are just children. They can write about elephants, that is a pink elephant that is flying or something. So they return to be children again. And this is what I'm trying to do. Is sometimes we forget who we are as a Palestinian, and the children, they forget that they are children, because actually they don't have a normal childhood. Nobody, I think nobody in Palestine has a normal childhood or living a normal life. I've been in Shafat camps, and when the kids go out from schools, there was like hundreds of soldiers that have guns and tears gas all over the place. And it's camps, it's very, very crowded and very small streets. And it was at 2 p.m. at the time that kids go out from schools. So it's no way you will have a normal childhood when you are living in that situation. And this is lots of camps are at the checkpoints, the edge, you know. Also, there's a lot of villages too at the edge. So when you are, sometimes when you are in the city, you forget about it. But when you go out, when you want to go to another city, it's very dangerous. And the camps actually, they have their situation is totally different about the water, the electricity, the living life, and at the same time, in Palestine, they have good rights because they are Palestinian, but at the same time, they want to recognize as a refugee because they want to go back to their homes one day, because this is their right to go to their homes. So they will be and kept as a refugee until they go back to their home one day, because this is their right. But in different countries like Syria or Lebanon, a lot of the refugee can't go out sometimes from the camp. They can't build their houses. They can't expand their houses. They don't have building material. They can't. There's a certain works that you can't work in. They are living in a very, very bad situation. And when we think about hope, I think they have lots of hope. They never lose their hope to return. And this is what make them continue, because it's the only way. Imagine to live in this situation all your life, and what will make you wake up the second day? It's hope that you will return. So the right of return is not something that we just make it as an obstacle or something. It's what make people live and want to continue their life, because this is the only thing they know. The Palestinian outside, when you live in Palestine, it's a little bit easier actually, or even if it's more dangerous, but it's easier. لأنه you live in Palestine, you are in your country, at the end. But when you are at camps outside, you will always feel like you are a stranger, and somebody will kick you out one day, and because you are not belonging to that country. So they don't have passports. They have special papers that they don't allow them to go to different countries. It's very difficult to be in a camp, especially outside Palestine.
And some people spend their whole lives in camp. Is that correct?
They are, yeah. All of the people, they spend all life in camps, yeah. Especially in Lebanon, for example. Lebanon is, unfortunately, it's terrible. They are living terrible conditions. It's in Jordan, like it's easier in Jordan, but in Syria, in Lebanon, it's very, very bad conditions.
Yeah, we had a couple of technical difficulties trying to start this meeting, but we understand that you had a couple of difficulties even getting out of the country.
Yeah.
Could you let us know a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I'm Palestinian. I have Palestinian passport, but my husband is he's an Palestinian Arab who is living in Jerusalem, and those they are very rare situation. They have a Jordanian passport, but they have also ID that says that they are citizen in Israel. So I married to this guy, and we live in Jerusalem. We apply for a permit every year to have for me to live with them in Jerusalem. So usually I can, because of the situation, I can apply for a permit to go through Ben Gurion airport, and I apply for it. I got it. And then we had the ticket, everything. I went to the airport, I check in, they searched me, everything was going smoothly. And then they cancel my permit when I was going to enter to the plane. And it was like very, very strange situation. It never happened I never have listened, يعني, I never heard anybody that happened with them, and nobody give me an answer why. So I had to go from that point, I had to go to Jordan to travel and come here, because it's the only way for the Palestinian to travel. So yes, it was 48 hours of traveling, and lots of يعني, like lots of tickets that was cancelled, and I have events in Connecticut was also cancelled, and another ticket, another hotel. So يعني, it was big thing, but I can't even talk about it. I can't even like complain about it. And my friend told she's talking to me, she tell me, you have to like complain about it or do a file or something, because it's like they are wasting my money, my time, my everything, yani. But I can't do it, because if I do it, maybe they will not renew my permit next year, or there will be a problem, and yani, so I can't do it, because if that happened, I will never be with my family, and my family had to live in Jerusalem. They can't live outside, because if they live outside Jerusalem, they will take their ID from them, and they will not they can't go to Jerusalem anymore. So it's like we have to prove ourselves every year that we are living in Jerusalem, we are paying our taxes, our everything, so I can have a permit every year. So yeah, and this is part of just like, it's a normal thing. It's not something you have يعني, you can't like even complain about. It's just normal life, but it's all getting in your body. You have to prove yourself all the time. You have to prove that you are innocent. You have to prove that you don't have any aggressive or something. You are يعني, just to make others to approve of you, just to live, not to have rights. We don't have even rights to elect, or I don't have, I just have some rights to have permit to drive my car, actually. And they renew this every 4 months, and they can refuse it, yani. And it's just now, after 15 years of marrying, I can drive a car. So it's and yani, it's normal thing, but it's not normal. Yeah, but يعني, when I see like women's and like people and who's living and trying, and they living their life and they continue, يعني, I feel like I'm like يعني, sometimes I feel guilty when I smile, because I smile a lot, I laugh a lot, and I think it's a point of view. It's like I'm making a statement by my laugh, because it's something that is not not supposed to happen, يعني. You feel guilty because you laugh a lot, but at the same time you feel like how strong is that, all that women, that they are living their life, women and men, actually, because also men, يعني, I feel so bad for men in Palestine. Imagine it's like a criminal to be a man or a child or a 15 years old teenagers. They will suspect you, or يعني, at the moment, يعني. And it's so sad to see all these teenagers who's like they are just teenagers who's like trying to understand life and understand their boundaries, and sometimes they've been killed just for shouting, or يعني, not doing what the soldiers say think it's right. And it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. Even in Jerusalem is very it's very confusing and conflict. Because they're living together, يعني. And you see the racism among Arab, يعني, how they act with it's very obvious, يعني. It's something that it's in the streets every day, and you can't do anything about it. Yeah, you can't even you can't be a human being and say no, or even I always have fear of what I will do if something happened to any child in front of me, because I can't not react. I will react because I'm a human, يعني. So all the time I'm afraid that will happen in front of me, because I don't know what will happen, because I want to survive also. for my kids. Everybody want, I think it's a miracle to survive day by day by day by day. But you live in that fear of what will happen if something happened to your child, or what's your reaction, how you will protect them, what can you do. I remember I once was going back from the Ramallah through the checkpoint, and there was like my neighbor, he's a teenager, and they were like putting him aside with his friend, and I was like telling the soldier, he's my neighbor. Do you want anything from him? And he was like cursing something very bad to me. Something like "fuck you and your neighbor" or something like this. So I felt like, what should I do? And no, it's that I just have to go. But I felt guilty all the time, and no, I left him, and I couldn't do anything. So, and that affects you as a human. That will affect you. That will change you. That will make you different in a way. And it happened all the day, but you don't notice it. And then some people will say, why you act like this? Why you react like this? Why you are violence? Why you shout? Why you screaming? Because when you don't have anything, you have big things to scream about. We are screaming. I am screaming all the time. Even in my poetry, I feel like I'm screaming, I'm shouting, because it's like nobody is listening. And I felt that actually after they published this book and translated, because I said everything. I remember the first day I published this book. It was the day it was the day that Shireen Abu Akleh was killed, and she's our neighbor in Jerusalem. She's I don't know if you hear about her. She's a journalist who was killed. Shireen Abu Akleh. She's actually an American citizen. And she was killed in Jenin, like in the second, And I was, but at the same day, the book was published, and I felt like, oh my God, I tell everything. I tell it in a good way. But nobody's here listening. My poetry will not do anything, but I'm just screaming in the air. And sometimes that make you feel like, I don't want to shout anymore. I don't want to scream anymore. I just want to hide and do silly things. And this is what I'm doing. I think I'm in that state that I'm trying to protect myself, and by just protecting myself, because I'm afraid. Yeah.
Well, one of the things I gathered in talking to you was your work with the children is also an outlet for you, because you can see results. And if you could comment on that a little bit more, what is the biggest trauma that you see of the children, and how is that related in their writings? You briefly touched on it, but like a little more.
Like I was working in a workshop. There was a kid from Gaza. He had 3 words until now. He's 14. He had 3 words. And it's not just a word. It's because Gaza is very, very, very small countries, like this guy. So when a bomb happened, like they destroy the whole building, it affects everybody. It affects the whole area. And that boy was telling me, and in a very normal voice, that he knows all the rockets, how the voice of the airplane, what is the difference between them, and he's go and look at the sky to see the bombs that goes in his neighbor. And he was like wearing a t-shirt of Ronaldo, and he was afraid that he will not play football that day, and so they asked him to hide, so he went under the bed to hide, and at the same time he didn't want to show that he's afraid and coward, so nobody knows that he's under the bed, and he was thinking, what will happen if the bomb will come at that, all that. It's, and he's like, he having a very like, this kind of very positive energy that he wants to, change the world, and he wants to do it. We want to go to university in US and do things, and his chance is very, very limited. He can't go out of Gaza, yani. But he has the spirit, and this is actually very strange because one actually of the ladies that you're seeing right now at the picture, I think she was the youngest lady, the youngest prisoner. She was 14 when they put her in prison, and she showed me a video of her at the checkpoint that were like kept it on the earth, and there was like a driver who was filming this video, and he was like yelling, please, please, don't shoot her, please, please, she's just young. And he was shouting in Arabic and very loud, please, for your mother's sake, don't shoot. And he was like, he was trying him, and the whole scene that this guy was took to the prison for like a whole 2 years, and she's now when you see her spirit, you will never believe that this woman is like she wasn't present, and because she has a very good spirit, and she's very strong, and she's telling the story that she's very organized. When she go from the present now, she feel that she want to control her life because she felt that everything is controlling her, and she lost the control. So she is trying to be very organized. She took very good grades. She's a lawyer right now. She study lawyer, and she wanna defend the president, the small president. So you hear all these stories, and you feel that they are very strong. The children, although all these traumas, but they feel that they have their rights, and they are strong with their being rights and their being good. So actually, when I hear their stories, I feel like they are really the strongest than me. When you are inside the action, you will have a great power. Actually, hundreds of stories. I have hundreds of stories now. I'm writing 2 books. One of them for young adult and one for the adult. And no, it's both depending on real stories from about traumas, and how people treat time and traumas, how they change during time, and what happened with people during time. So yeah, it's a lot of story to tell. Yeah.
Do any of your poems address the wall,
The wall.
the separation wall?
Yeah, I think I'm not remember. I don't remember right now actually. But you have to read the story, which is called The Gap. I think you can find it online. The one that
Yes.
he read today. Yeah, because it's all about the separation wall. It talks about a very optimistic guy who's actually it's a real story. I was depending on that story in a real story. There is a village called El Walaje, and in that village, when they did the wall, there was a home which was separated from the other town, so it was alone. Here is the town, and here is the home. It was alone. So everybody was like their families was inside their lands, everything. So they have nothing right now. So I wrote the story depending on that real story about this man who's like very optimistic, and when he heard about the wall, that he says, don't worry, of course we will find a gap, and no, if there is a wall, there must be a gap. So he's trying to find this gap, and actually it's a real story because everybody, all the workers and all the people who want to enter, they all search for a gap, and they go walk around the walls and villages to find a gap. And I know people who doing that every day. And there's actually a picture for a student, a very small student, who she carry I don't know, like the one that you climb on it to something, يعني I forget the name of it in English. So it's a job for Palestinian to find a gap to go to their schools and family and homes sometimes, يعني. So yeah, so that story what was about the gap, but I don't think I have something. I don't remember if I have something. Yeah.
Well, are there any other questions from others for Maya about her poetry or her work in the workshop or living in Palestine?
Do you see a way forward to self-determination?
يعني again, if I understand, if I see a way to the future, that's what you mean?
Yes,
Yeah.
for Palestine.
Yeah. I think يعني I think we will keep fighting in a way. يعني I think that the resistance that we have is the resilience that it's unbelievable, and we don't يعني people don't even doubt about that they will have a day that they will be free. It's not a doubt. There's no doubt about it. يعني although everything around us is like trying to like now the Palestinian case is not in the center, like because of the Arab country and what is happening and everything else. But at the same time, it's like we survive, we try to survive, we try to continue day by day, and people have hopes. And I think the young children and young ladies and young adults, they are just determined to, and they are really good and clever, and they try to find the new ways of resistance. So يعني I hope maybe we يعني you become to a certain age that you doubt your things and you don't believe it anymore. You feel that you don't want to lose your self or your child or your you want to يعني you want to protect your belonging and your lovers. But in a certain but this young we always have this young generation who's like will go and and resist and never stop believing in the case. So I think that's what we need, yani the young blood generation that's had their own voices. They don't belong to any parties. They belong to their stories and have their own voices, and they also have their own channels of the media and social media and these things. So yeah, I think we will يعني they continue. It's always there. I remember when I was in the when I was young at the university, all my friends were like that, you know. My boyfriend actually was killed at the first day of Intifada. Most of my friends were in jail until now. Actually, one of them is still at prison until now. And this is what makes you sometimes feel like you losing hope, because you see what happened to these people. They were very good and they were very innocent, and they were like just want to do things and be active, just to go out to demonstration, and they were killed like that. So you feel like you losing hope. Yani sometimes you just don't want to lose more people, but the young generation will go and continue. And this is what make Palestine actually like until now. You have it. You hear about it. Although all these big media and what they are trying to do to demolish the whole idea of Palestinian people. Yeah.
And you mentioned to me that the Israelis and Palestinians live very close together, and they often get along very well. And you made the comment that if left to their own devices, a lot of this problem would go away. It's where governments and politics and economics get into it. And I'd like you to comment on that.
Yeah, and I think they are creating, they're creating fear all the time for the Israeli society. They are creating the fear of others. Like, people think that the Palestinian is like the enemies. They are monsters, but they were living together all the time before Israel. They were living together and they were friends and having normal lives. But when politics goes in and all that economy things and they are playing with us. They are playing our card all the time. The politician to win their election, or so when anything happened, will go and bomb Gaza. So now we are strong because he's a strong leader because he bombed in Gaza. They are playing our cards all the time, but people are really afraid. I think the Israeli also, the left is very weak right now. Most of the people are very right, and they are just have these big ideas of the others, that he's enemy and he's going to kill us, and they are feeding this fear all the time with anything, with everything, with the media and so you have no choice sometimes. You don't have choice. You must afraid of each other because you don't have any other choice. Everybody is afraid of the other one. And when they do these programs of normalization and these it's not a real thing. It's just because when it's real, you have to have a big court and like what happened with the Africa and the North Africa, and to tell the truth, to make it clear what is right and what is not right, and that the justice have to be done, and not just to say that yalla, let's be friends. It's not like that. It will never be like that. You need to have justice.
Well, you're talking to a peace and justice group, so I think there might be some interest in that. I'm just realizing, apparently I'm not as good a host as Sue Linderman, because I see that we're already to after 8 o'clock. Are there other questions and so forth for Maya? Sue says we can go till 8:15, but that's the cutoff. But are there any other questions for Maya?
I would like to say thank you to Maya. I just really appreciated this opportunity to hear your voice. And I've also watched you read to children online, and it is just wonderful. I'm so happy about that you do so much with children. Wow. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so.
All right. Well, we very much appreciate Maya's time and insight and her creativity through expression of poetry and novels. We very much appreciate that. And I'm told that Sally Butner has so she's muted.
She was like clapping, yeah.
Oh, she's clapping. Okay. See, I'm telling you, I'm a terrible host at this. I'm sorry, people.
No, you are doing great. And thank you, Carol and Mark, for your host. I had a great night yesterday in their house, and it was like very, they helped me in everything. They had me shopping, and I really appreciate everything.
Oh, well, our pleasure. And we certainly hope you can come back.
Inshallah,
so we thank you.
I would love to, yeah.
And we thank all the participants tonight with their questions and so forth. Next week, there is yet another Peace and Justice where Dave Bever, Executive Director of the Delaware Center for Justice, describes the 100-plus year history of its center and its programs, and for the Delawareans impacted by all aspects of the criminal legal system. Unfortunately, Sue would have done a lot better job in introducing this next topic, but I'm trying to do the best I can as stand-in. So make sure you tune in next week so you can hear that as well. But thank you very much, everybody. We really appreciate it, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye to
Mark.
all.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, Mark.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay.